I also get involved in the politics of ministry. And it's sad to say, but there is a political side of ministry that we do not often talk about. But that's just the sad truth, is because we are dealing with people. And when there is people, there's favoritism, or there's people that are more popular, there's people that are less popular, there's people that are more likable, there's people that have more power, there's people that have more influence. There's so many different dynamics when you are involved in this heavy duty ministry. And if you're not aware, if you don't protect those boundaries, then those things are just gonna collide or collapse. And that's what I felt was going on. Drie, twee, één, actie. Hi everyone, my name is Queen Albertus and I'm back with Breaking the Silence. And honestly, today I am so freaking excited about this episode because this is the first episode that I'm recording since we have been live. A few weeks ago, we dropped the first episode of Breaking the Silence, and that episode was recorded somewhere in 2024. I think it was in November. And so since that recording day, 2 days, I took 2 days to record. And since that day, I didn't record. This is my first time, and we have switched up the atmosphere. I've been watching the episodes myself, and right now we are improving. We're trying to improve. So right now, I think that the sound is much better than a few weeks ago, and the look is better than a few weeks ago. So we're trying to improve because we know that excellence is required in order to build this platform. And honestly, I am so happy that you're still here. I want to take the time to thank you for your support, for so many comments that I've received. This week, we released the episode that's called I actually forgot the name of it, but the episode that we dropped about me breaking the silence, actually. The episode where I spoke about my marriage and how I found out that my husband was a drug addict. That episode was actually the highlight of Breaking the Silence, because that episode really shows you my why. It tells you my why. It tells you why I started and kicked off this platform. And that's why this platform is called Breaking the Silence. I've received so many messages from all over the world. And I'm just grateful to be able to help people. I've gotten encouraging messages, but also people that are just confiding in me, telling me their story. And it's just an encouragement to know that this platform is so important in this time. And before I continue on to talk to you about the episode of today, I do want to give you a little bit more of a explanations, because I think this is episode 8 or 9. And this whole season, we're just talking about my breaking the silence. We're talking about my breaking the silence moment. But the next season, in a few weeks, we will be having guests, and we will be having many different people that are going to be breaking their silence. And if you are someone and you feel like, I want to share my story, I have something to share, then this is your platform. This is for you. This is a moment where you can speak your truth, and you can speak about what happened to you, what you went through, the lessons that you've learned. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. I've getting messages from so many different people, different ages, men and women. And this is not just a platform for the ladies. This is a platform for the gentlemen. We can learn from you. We want to break the taboo, and we know that everyone goes through many different seasons in life that could traumatize them or rebuild them, or whatever it is that you went through that you feel like sharing, this is your platform. So hit me up. And also, if you're new here, I want to give you an extra warm hug. You are welcome here at Breaking the Silence, where we break taboo, where we break the cycles. And this platform is created for you to recognize your voice, to be able to develop your voice, and eventually we want you to use your voice. And I'm using my voice on this platform, but some of you, maybe you're gonna use your voice in your family, at your school, at your job, wherever it is that God is gonna send you in. That's where you have to use your voice. And I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful to be able to do what I do. I love this platform. I love the community that we are building together. And so, yeah, hearts, 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 hearts. And I want to say something funny. I mean, it's not really funny, but one of the ladies, she sent me a message. She's like, Queen, I want to see more of yourself. I want to see more of your clothing. I want to see more of your fashion. And I'm like, we're trying to build a podcast. This is really not about the fashion and the clothes, but I will try my best, okay? She's like, yeah, I don't see you wearing the stuff that you wear. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should just follow me on Instagram to see my outfits, because here on this platform, we're gonna break the silence. It's not about fashion. It's not about the hair. It's not about all that, but it's about speaking the truth, okay? And so in the last episode, I talked to you about how I felt going into my healing journey. And today, I want to go more into that, more into details about that, or let me just explain to you. It's more like a part of my healing journey that was so crucial to me. Is also something that this week I've been posting about. I've been posting about canceling the church cancel culture. And unfortunately, I had to deal with a church hurt, something that many of us go through. And we have kind of normalized, because of course, when you are involved in a community with people, we hurt each other. That's just what it is. But I also feel like we don't talk enough about the effects that it has and how much hurt and wounds it leaves on an individual when they go to church hurt. How do we deal with that? How does it come? And I think if you have been listening to the episodes prior to this one, you have learned that I've been very much involved in the work of the ministry. For 16 years, I have been very much highly involved in ministry, full force, full time. For 8 years, I've been full time involved in ministry. I've lived in the United States. I've done ministry over there. I've done ministry all over. I've traveled throughout of Europe for the ministry. I used to be a ministry girl. I still consider myself a ministry girl because I feel like this is also ministry, but really full on in church, laying down your life at the altar of sacrifice, putting others first, sacrificing after sacrificing your finances, your time, your treasure, whatever it was all in the hands of the ministry. And at a young age, I made a decision that that's what's going to be my life. I was going to be a ministry girl. And when me and my husband separated, I told you last week, I moved into the ministry house where we both used to live together, because we used to be very much involved. And before I moved back into the ministry house, we lived on our own. But because of the separation, I couldn't live on my own no more. So I had to move back into the ministry house. And when I moved into the ministry house, I was very broken, of course. Like I said, I mentioned it before. I was very broken. I had to go through a healing journey. So many different things were going on in my life, of course. So I moved in over there because it was better for me to stay living in the city where I served. It's just going through a lot. And the difficult thing about being me is I do not look like the things I go through. Okay, some of us, we just always show up, we're always on the go, and we can just, move on and go, 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 go. And that's what was happening on the outside. On the outside, you could just see me go, go, go. But internally, of course, I was wounded. And so I get back into the ministry house, and I'm living with team members and pastors and people that are also laying down their life at the altar of sacrifice. Also, living out that life and paying a price, and so many things in that dynamic. So many things happen, of course, because at the other hand, you have this high demand, but you are suffering and you have to heal. I had to take some time to step down from full on ministry. I was still very much involved in ministry. It was not so much more on the front line of ministry, but it was more on the backside of ministry, but still full on involved. And so you have to imagine I'm hurting, but I'm still discipling. I still have my Bible study. I have so many things, but at the same time, I'm trying to deal with what I am facing, which is a divorce. And so in that, I also get involved in the politics of ministry. And it's sad to say, but there is a political side of ministry that we do not often talk about. But that's just the sad truth, is because we are dealing with people. And when there is people, there's favoritism, or there's people that are more popular, there's people that are less popular, there's people that are more likable, there's people that have more power, there's people that have more influence. There's so many different dynamics when you are involved in this heavy duty ministry. And if you're not aware, if you don't protect those boundaries, then those things are just gonna collide or collapse. And that's what I felt was going on. I felt like that was going on in my life. At the other hand, I'm trying to heal. And on the other hand, I still have to watch my back. I still have to look around, because there's so many different, there's tension within the team, there's tension within the people, there's tension within the leadership. And so I am looking around me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I had to realize that the control that I was suffering within my marriage, that it was just beyond just my marriage. It was more. There was more that I had to face. It wasn't just my marriage that was dysfunctional, but it was also the way that was operating in the relationships in this setting. I had to come to a conclusion that things needed to change. And so, but I also know that it was kind of difficult to talk about these things because you never know how others would respond. I've seen people leave the ministry. I've seen people become bitter. I've seen people separate ways. And I also know that those things often didn't go smoothly. Those transitions were not nice. And so I was dealing, because I was trying to heal. So you're trying to heal, and because you're healing, you are maturing. And that's what happens, guys. I think before I went through my divorce, I was just oblivious to a lot of things. I would just allow a lot of things. But now that you're healing, you're maturing. And what happens when you mature? When you mature, your eyes open up and you start seeing things the way they are. And that's what was kind of tricky within my situation, because I was living in a home where I was depending on others, but I also felt like I had there was no room for me to really speak out what I was going through in the inside. And so decisions were being made according to my life, according to my position, and something that I really loved doing was working with women, but that position had to change. And even though it was very hurtful, I had to accept that, and I had to deal with that. And I also felt like, maybe this is a new season. The way they went about it was hurtful, not because of the transition necessarily, but it was just hurtful because I was finally learning how to make adjustments for my own life. I was finally learning with professional help to make decisions for my own life. And then I started realizing that decisions were being made for me. So that hurts. It hurts because you're trying to heal, trying to develop a voice, trying to develop an opinion, trying to develop, a decision for yourself. But then decisions are still being made. And for someone that went through the things that I went through, it was kind of hard to having to deal with that, having to accept or realize how much control you don't have actually over your own life. And so in the summer, before I had to make a tough decision, I was informed that I was no longer needed on my position, that someone was gonna replace my position, and they offered me a different position, which was something totally out of my league, something that I have no interest in. It had to do with finances, raising finances, and it was my first time saying no. It was my first time that I said no, and it was actually a very bold move because I kind of felt it in my spirit that this no was gonna have consequences. And you have to imagine, for 16 years, every day, yes, yes, yes. Whatever it is, whatever you need, I was always on a yes. I was always taught to say yes. Always taught to not have boundaries. Always taught to be down for whatever. Always taught to just go the extra mile, do beyond and above. Go beyond and above what's required. That's the life that I've lived for so many years. And now I'm in my healing stage. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna say no because I'm not happy. But I'm gonna say no especially because I am just not able to. I'm hurting. I'm very much hurting. I need to focus. I need to focus on these issues that I have. I need to focus on these wounds that I have. I have to try to make some boundaries. I'm gonna practice what I have been teaching, I've been learning in this season. I'm practicing my boundaries. I'm saying no. And so when I said no, I think it came on like a bomb. The truth is that after a month, I was gonna be told I had to leave the house that I was living in with no job. I had to leave, and the expectation was that I was still gonna be part of this community, church community. But honestly, I didn't even have to pray about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was just, I got so upset when I heard this. I was in disbelief of the treatment that I was receiving. But at the same time, I already knew maybe 6 months before, prior to this happened, I already felt kind of being canceled. I remember the leadership coming over from the United States and me just not being invited, not being informed. It was one of the team members that casually told me in the restroom that I was no longer invited. She said, yeah, you know what? I went the Dutch way and I asked them, what's up with Queen? You know, she's no longer here. She's no longer part of the meetings. She's no longer part of whatever. And then she told me that she asked them and they said, oh yeah, no, she's no longer whatever needed. And that's how I got informed. But before that, I was, sitting at the table and being informed and, being involved within decision making. And now I was being dismissed, and I had to hear it from someone that was a teammate. And so I was already hurt by the time I said no. I was already hurt, but I also knew already that I was canceled. I kind of knew it because I've seen other people get canceled in the past. Never thought that it was going to happen to me. And I've learned that in that moment that everyone could be canceled. You can take a seat at the highest table, but the moment you start saying no, the moment you start changing, Instead of having conversations about the transformation I was going through, uh, I was being canceled. And I wrote something down about how I felt in that season, because I had to come to a conclusion that I was being disowned. And the meaning of being disowned is, when you are deeply emotionally, physically, socially, and sometimes even spiritually being pushed away. And sometimes when I think about it, sometimes I don't want to be like, I don't want to sometimes I do not want to talk about these things. So honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was kind of embarrassed that this happened to me, because I was just in disbelief that I was now in a position to be disowned or excommunicated after everything I've done. I couldn't believe it, and I kind of was embarrassed to having to return back home to tell my parents that I was treated in this matter. But I also know that this happens on so many levels, so often. And being disowned can feel like a deep betrayal or abandonment, similar to experiencing a death in the family. Both the person disowning and the being disowned may carry shame, regret, or internal conflict. When someone is cut off from their family or their culture or their community, they may struggle with a sense of belonging or self-worth. And also, disowning can create long-lasting bitterness on both sides, especially if it's unresolved. And like I mentioned, I became so angry, but at the same time, I knew that I couldn't stay in this place no longer. I knew that I could not heal in the same place that I got hurt. And even though I felt like, I cannot see my life away from this community, I also knew that I had spent so much time healing, and all I had left in that season was my dignity. And I couldn't allow people to treat me like that. I couldn't allow people to hurt me like that. I just couldn't. I just could not. I felt like I was hurt so many times on so many levels. I mean, my marriage was failing. I had nothing else but a little room and my dignity. And that's how I informed one of the pastor's wives that was living in the house. I told her, you know what? After everything now, this whole year I've been excommunicated. I haven't been informed. I felt so talked about. I felt neglected. My leadership not asking how I'm doing. My leadership not paying attention to my needs. Me probably not living up to whatever they were expecting me, because I just wasn't able to do. With a lot of pain in my heart, I have to say goodbye. I have to pack my bags, and I'm just gonna. I literally said, I'd rather live on the streets with the little bit of dignity that I still have after everything I went through than having to stick it out here another day at just being hurt, being neglected. It was the most crucial thing that I've been through. It was one of the most hurtful experiences. Honestly, it was even more hurtful than the whole entire divorce. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's how attached I was to my community. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because it doesn't matter in what family you are, it doesn't matter in what environment you are. If you are being hurt, if people are neglecting you, if you feel neglected, if you feel like you are left on the side road, if you are not being catered to, if your environment is not meeting your needs, and if there's no room for you to even speak about that, that environment is just not healthy for you. It could be healthy for somebody else, but maybe you have come to a place in life where you deserve better, where you need something else. And that's why I'm sharing this with you today. I had to make a tough decision. I had to pack my bags, and I had to go back home. I had to leave it all behind. 16 years of sacrificing, 16 years of giving it my all, my finances, my heart, my everything, my people, all my friends that I knew was it was all those relationships were built in the ministry. And now I had to come to this place of leaving it all behind. And I want to end this episode with asking you, what about your community? Why are you still attached to your community? Is it because you're just attached? Some of us, we have those toxic attachment issues, and you don't feel validated. You don't feel seen. You don't feel appreciated. You feel used, abused, but you still stick it out. I want to ask you why. Why in the name of Jesus are you allowing people to hurt you after he died on a cross for you, paid the highest price for you to be free? There's no need for you to stick it out. And we say, oh yeah, but we have to be loyal. Loyalty is two-sided, people. It's two-sided, okay? It's not just one-sided, it's two-sided. So if you give loyalty, then you should expect the same loyalty back to you. And if you're not getting that loyalty, it's time to speak up. It's time to open up your mouth. And it's time to make a decision about your future. Because why would you stick it out in an environment that's just hurting you, and you're just being bitter, you're just not living up to what God has called you to do, and you are just complaining, but you're not making the necessary changes? I want to challenge you to grow up and to take responsibility for your life. Nobody's responsible for you, but you. You have to make those necessary changes so you can walk in the freedom that is laid down before you. Okay, guys, this is the end of this episode. It's kind of a messy one, to be honest. It's not easy to talk about this. I am very much embarrassed about the way that we treat each other as Christians, as children of God. And the reason why I speak about it is because nobody wants to speak about it. I feel like people are afraid. People are afraid. But hey, guys, we are all people. We hurt each other. And I feel like everybody should be able to be held accountable. And just like I'm holding myself accountable, I'm holding my parents accountable, I'm holding the whole entire world, I'm holding everybody accountable, I'm holding myself accountable. And that's why I'm speaking on this matter. I pray that you will reflect on your personal life and that you will not leave your life in the hands of other people, but take back your power and make those necessary changes. If you are blessed by this episode, I need you to like. I want you to follow to our channel. We're breaking the silence. We're breaking taboo. And I'll see you back next week. Bye-bye.